So for question 14, we have a graph right here. So your challenge is to be able to write an equation for this graph, and then you will be able to tell. Well, you should be able to tell the domain and range, x and y intercepts and symmetry without the equation, but you should still know how to write the equation. But we get the easy stuff done first. Let's look at the domain. Domain is again about the x values. So the domain here would be all real numbers, or in terms of interval notation, you may see something like this from negative infinity to infinity. So that's a domain from negative infinity to infinity. For the range, which addresses the y value, well, if you look at the graph, the y value starts at 3. So it's going above 3. So what you can say is y is greater than or equal to 3, which is a reflection of the reality. Okay, the y values are at least 3, okay, which could equal to 3. And then it goes from 3 to infinity. The reason why we put a bracket for 3 is because we include the 3, okay? 3 is included in the range. All right, so y-intercept, if you look at it, it is 0, 4. All right, I also want to take a moment to address one very simple fact. The simple fact is that any y-intercept would always have a 0 for the x value, okay? Any y-intercept would have a 0 for x value. So if you are given an equation and the task was to ask you find the to find the y-intercept, what would you do? You will simply put the 0 into x because that's what it is. Okay, it's a very simple fact. All y-intercepts would have an x value of 0. X-intercept right here, as you can see from the graph, it is none. Okay, that's no x-intercept. So you just don't see anything right here. Axis of symmetry, we have done a lot in the quadratic unit, so it should be very easy to tell where the axis of symmetry is. Axis of symmetry is it's a line, so we would have to express it as a line. So do not just write -2. You would write down x equals to -2. X equals to -2. Okay, what's the maximum on the interval from -6 to 7? So what is asking? This was one of the questions that a lot of students were asking back then when we were talking about the materials, the early part of the semester. So we're asking that this is the frame of reference. We're saying that if you look at this frame right here, what is the maximum y value in this frame? Okay, and we'll say, well, it seems like the maximum y value is located right here. Well, let me change the color. It seems like the maximum y value only in this interval from -6 to 7 is located right here when x is equal to 7. And now the graph was not printed very well. It should be it should have a slope of 1/2. So so that would be a maximum of 6.5. Okay, when x is 7, it has the maximum y value, and therefore we will write down the y value. If you look at the other side of the graph, when x is equal to -6, you only have a 4.5. Okay, so that's why the maximum is at 6.5. Okay, yeah. So just look at the indicator interval. Now, what about the equation? Let's go back to the equation. Okay. Now, the original function, the parent function is like this. And by now we should have a bit of understanding on how we do the transformation. So for this absolute value graph, it moved to the left for 2 units. It went up for 3 units. And then if you look at the slope on the either side, it's either positive 1/2 or negative 1/2. So we can think about this as a vertical compression by 1/2. So we can decorate our equation. Okay, we can say it moved to the left for 2 units, so +2. It moves up for 3 units, so +3. And since the slope it's 1/2, so we have a vertical compression by 1/2. So we put the 1/2 in the very front of it. Okay. Okay, so that's the equation. 1/2 absolute value of x + 2. Okay, and then +3 on the outside. Okay, that's question number 14.